Okay, thanks, Nance. I'm just going to open up. And, okay. Good Erev Shabbos. Hello, everybody. Lovely to have everybody. Hi, Mom and David. A little bit noisier before. I had my son practicing piano. And once again, it's lovely to have everybody here with us. You see, don't even see that until all these lights come on and everything. But it's really an absolute pleasure. If you can believe it, Good Chodesh, everybody. And it should be the month in which we are about to greet Mashiach, that we should really have the Geula. There's so much going on. We have to just literally daven, and ask Hashem just very graciously that he should do all the work that he needs to do and to help us deal with all that we are managing. So we should have a first shlema for Rafael Yaakov ben Natalie. We should have a refuah shlema for sorry, I thought I had it all with me, for Rafael ben Rivka, and Be'ezras Hashem, all good things, really, and more than that. We are also, it is finishing off the week in which was the Shloshim of the two beautiful young boys who were murdered in the terror attack. And somebody, Karen Miller, has gotten a lot of people connected and learning together in their zechus, and it should really be that they learning all about V'ahavta l'recha kamocha and the laws also of loving kindness, of acts of chesed, and this should really be that we are able to increase love for one another, avas chinam we'll call it, and that there should just be always shalom. And in the merit of all of our learning, that it should be an aliyah neshama for Asher Menachem and Yisrael Palei, and also refuah for Avram Noach ben Yehudis, their father. So please God, we should have only good things, and it's an honor that we're asking, and we have Rebbetzin Shuli Liss back with us again. And it really is a pleasure to have you, Shuli. And more than that, I have to just tell you the pleasure of the way you respond and reply. So I want to thank you for that. And we're looking forward to a little bit of pre-Pesach work. I might have to just run and turn off my machine. I have been making my challahs by hand recently, I have to be honest. When Rabbanit Ben Moshe recommends making it by hand and having all that extra energy. Time was short, blessed with lots to do. So I thought, okay, quickly, we've got to get this done, and we will have it in, I'll put the second load into the machine. And really, it should just be a zechus, because we will be, Be'ezras Hashem, making our challah next Thursday night as well, even though it is less than a week till Pesach, because we all have to be ready. And it really is a zechus for all of us to be able to keep and to do all these awesome, amazing mitzvahs, I guess. So you are welcome to unmute yourself. You know, when I think about when we first started doing everything on Zoom, it's actually just one of the small miracles that have remained with us, and that we can just say that thank you for this amazing technology. When it works amazingly. And even this morning, I was able to speak from one computer in Manchester on Zoom and have Rebbetzin Silber from Yerushalayim teaching Tehillim. So, you know, it is quite amazing that we can all join like this. And it should be Imyat Hashem to show us that we are all going to be very soon joined together. So thank you for taking off time from your Shabbos preparations and your, don't know about Pesach cleaning tonight, but thank you very much for being with us.
Okay, thank you so much, Joanne. Thank you for the opportunity. It's always nice to have an excuse to have to learn in order to have to teach. So I'm really grateful. And as Joanne said, thank you all for coming when I'm sure it's a very busy time. I can see my glasses and whatever. You know, I'm going to be sharing the screen anyway, so you won't see that much of my face. So hopefully it doesn't.
Well, we need to get you anti-reflect. Are your glasses anti-reflection?
Probably not. Probably
right.
Not,
you need some anti-reflection.
I can take them off, and then I just can't see anyone, and that's probably also fine.
Whatever's good for you.
Okay. So okay. So I'm going to do share screen if I can do that now. So, yeah, can everybody see? Okay. Okay, so great. So I wanted to start with a question, and I know Joanne said it's not so easy to get everybody's answers when there's different people online. So either you could write in the chat or maybe you could speak. But the difficulty of thinking about Pesach and thinking about how to help everybody prepare is that so many people's Pesach experiences are very, very different. So I could help somebody, if we talk to somebody about how to deal with it in this situation, if they're at home and they've got loads to do and they've got loads of people coming, and there might be somebody who's away and they're on holiday and they're in a hotel, and there's other stresses at doing that, and there's just lots of different experiences. So it would be really helpful for me to have some idea of what your plans are for Pesach. It doesn't need to be like the exact plans, but just, are you home? Are you away? Yeah. So anybody want to share with us where they are, then I just know that who I'm talking to and what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with my daughter because I live in a flat attached to being stuck home and actually with my family, and I'm going to start walking back at night after a Seder. So I'm moving with my daughter for the week, which is a lovely, lovely experience. Children are fantastic.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing. I think, was that Jane? I think that was Jane. So
That's Rachel Backler. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So it said unmute there. So thank you, Rachel. Anyone else?
So this is Jane, so I'm at home.
You're at home. Okay. Anyone else?
I'm at home. And I think that we have somebody who said hosting family and friends at home the first night, and then with some wonderful friends for second night. Someone's away in Israel.
Okay. Okay, great. So, so the title was Celebrating Together, Special and or Stressful. So that's the question, I guess, and each person will have their own experience. And my hope is that by the end of this talk, we will recognize that it's a bit of both, and please God, more of the first than of the second. But the first step is recognizing that when we prepare for Pesach, and a lot of people prepare in different ways, we generally spend our time preparing in a physical sense. So we'll clean up our house, we'll take out some special cutlery or plates, so we'll buy special Pesach food, we'll be cooking, we may be hosting, so some people are hosting. All of those things are physical preparations for Pesach, and Pesach is a very sensory-filled holiday, which is actually beautiful, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, and it's very exciting and special, but it's also stressful, and it's also a lot of work. So the question is, how can we sort of make it more towards the special than the stressful? And the first step is recognizing the stress. So my other question to everybody is, now move on here, is can anybody give me an example of something that you might find stressful before Pesach or during Pesach?
Extra cooking, extra cleaning, extra cleaning, and then grandchildren coming and spilling a box of soup nuts. I don't know. There are lots of different things we can think of. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joanne. Anyone else?
It feels like there's never enough time.
Time pressures.
Time pressures, getting everything ready beforehand.
Absolutely.
How you plan.
Possessions are all out of usual places while changing over. That's what somebody said, and that was the L White. And I can't see if there was anything else.
Okay. Okay,
Energy.
great.
I think it's energy as well. It's, you know, you use up all your energy with what's with all the preparations. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the physical stress of the stuff, and there's also actually an emotional stress that maybe some people feel, some people don't feel. But as somebody said, it's like it's changing things around. It's also a change of routine. So a change of routine for some people, like if you have more people in your house, then you need to get along with more people. If you're away on holiday and you need to and you need to be in a hotel and you need to deal with other people in the hotel, that can also be a stress of the pressure. What am I wearing? What are they wearing? What's happening in that place? Am I talking to somebody? If you're staying at somebody else's house, then you're a guest pressure. There's a pressure of, am I being helpful enough, or am I in their way? And do I have my space? So actually, the stresses are physical stresses, but there's also an emotional stress. And I think that often when it comes to Yom Tov, we don't necessarily think about the emotional stress. We think about the physical stress. So we think about all the things, the list of things that we have to get done, but we don't think about, oh, actually now this child's being frustrated with that child because everyone's in a different room, or I'm feeling frustrated because the person I'm spending time with is a little bit irritable, and actually there's a lot of things to do. So when there's a lot of things to do, which everybody said there's a lot of things to do, our tolerance levels go down, which means that things that maybe wouldn't bother us so much at this point, they can bother us a little bit more. So maybe I could give you some ideas about how to lessen the level of stress of the things that you have to do, but I'm not particularly good at that, and I actually really enjoy preparing for Pesach. I like Pesach. I love the changeover. So I don't think I can give advice on that area, but I do feel that actually taking a little bit of time to stop and think what emotional stresses might come up over Yom Tov, or what things might I be feeling over Yom Tov, actually thinking about that beforehand can help make Yom Tov more special and less stressful. So we're going to look at a few ideas. Okay, so I have 6 ideas, and we will hopefully, timing wise, manage to finish all in time. So the first thing is visualizing. So I won't go through, I'll go through one by one, but visualizing the true goal. So when Moshe was told to we're up to the part, we just finished the part where Moshe created the tabernacle, and he had to make the Mishkan, he made all the things inside it. He was told to make the menorah. And if you see the first line, it says, and this is the workmanship of the menorah. So Hashem basically described to Moshe how to make it. And he showed him an image of the menorah. So Moshe was a bit nervous because there's a lot to do, and how am I going to do it? So Hashem showed him an image. He had like a visual image of what it's going to look like. And Rabbi Dessler explains to us that if we want to accomplish something in life, it's really helpful for us to come up with an image in our head of what is the goal, where do we want to be, what does it want to look like. So if you imagine Seder night, for example, being the goal, so I would maybe imagine we're sitting around the table, everyone's calm and peaceful, they're all kind to each other, they're all relaxed, they're happy to be sitting there, the table's laid beautifully, nothing's fallen on the floor, everything's ready on time. That's like a beautiful, beautiful image. How many people have that in their Seder? As in, okay, thanks, Deborah. There was a little bit of a no. I mean, I feel like those images are kind of imaginary images. And they're actually, those images are the images that are the reason why we tend to be a little bit frustrated at Pesach time, because we have these sort of images of beautiful, beautiful, calm, happy, engaged, everybody getting along, beautiful. And then what happens is life. And life doesn't look very much like that. So if we imagine instead having an image of the goal is closeness to Hashem. The goal is, I want to have a spiritual experience of feeling Hashem's presence and having done what I can do to make this home, or to make this hotel place wherever I am, or to make my Seder wherever I am into a spiritual experience. And I want to have a closeness to Hashem. So having a closeness to Hashem is very, very different from having a perfect Seder and from having everybody else get along with each other. It's a completely different goal, and it's actually a much, much more manageable goal. So if we have an image in our head of a bit of craziness going on, grandchildren making a mess, or some person saying something to you that's insulting, or the weather being horrible and you thought that you were going to a beautiful place, something not beautiful, but you're actually sitting there calm, relaxed, feeling Hashem's presence, knowing this is what's meant to be, everything Hashem does is good, he loves me, and feeling calm. If you have that goal in your mind, the whole experience is very different. And my hope is that when we work through thinking about Pesach and thinking about things that might happen, we will be able to feel happiness and joy throughout Pesach at the joy of the actual Yom Tov and the joy of the connection to Hashem, without having everything fall into place in the way that we want it to fall into place. Does that make sense so far? People with me? Okay. So I used to go to a class from Sari Chaved Rigler. It was called, I think, The Inner Circle, and it was about, Joanne's nodding. Did you go to the class, or you just know about it? No, you know about it. Yeah, so she's an excellent educator. But I remember one of the stories she told. So it was women working on their marriages to become a better wife. She described a woman who was sitting at a table, and her husband was being particularly annoying. And it was uncomfortable for her at this table. And there were a lot of other people at the table. And she had this very strong urge to just tell him to be quiet and stop being annoying. And she held herself back and she kept herself quiet. And the way Sarah Chaved Rigler described it, she said that we don't realize that at that moment when she held herself back, nobody in that room saw anything. Nobody in the room knows anything happened. Everything just looked like a completely normal, a normal meal. But actually the angels were singing and dancing. This woman had lifted herself to incredible heights because she had held herself back from saying something that would have been unpleasant in that situation. And I think that one of the difficulties with spiritual goals is we don't see the effects of our spiritual work. So when we work on ourselves to be calm, to manage people, to speak nicely and respectfully, nobody else knows what's going on in your head. Nobody knows that you had that whole big fight in your head. It's driving me mad. It's so embarrassing. I wish you'd just be quiet. But I just had that fight in my head. I haven't, of course, because my husband's fabulous. Bless him. I'm saying that woman had that in her head, and she managed to keep herself quiet. And I think that if we look at this goal as our goal for life, to try and work on ourselves, to behave in the right way, to be close to Hashem, to accept His will, to speak to Him, then we have accomplished something incredible. So that's just a slightly different goal to the Pesach beautiful Seder, which is wonderful, because if you can lay the table, and let's do that as well. We are still doing that. I'm not taking that away. It's just, let's think about results wise. We don't expect everything to all fall into place, because when we try to control the uncontrollable, which is everybody else, then we're generally miserable. So that's step one, visualize the goal. Okay, step two. I can't see the side one a little bit, but can you see?
And see overwhelmed, jealousy, and sadness. But if you've got the gallery on the right, then you just see sad in.
Sad. Okay, great. So there's different emotions that sometimes can come up. First one we've already discussed is overwhelm. The second one is jealousy. Sometimes when over Pesach, you'll see other families. You'll see if you're in a hotel, you'll see other families. If you're with family that you don't always see, you might see families getting along. Somebody might be single and they wish they were married. Somebody might be maybe they lost a partner or something, and then they see someone else who seems to have everything. It can sometimes bring up, when people celebrate together, when they spend time together, it can bring up emotions that are quite unpleasant and difficult to deal with. And then there's the thought in your head or somebody's head of, this is supposed to be lovely. This is a happy occasion. We are all sitting together and it's so lovely. So why am I having that thought? Why am I feeling sad? Why am I feeling sad about what I might be missing? Why am I feeling jealous of, this person, their children are so well behaved and my children weren't well behaved? Or there's many different scenarios of different difficulties that a person has, that when they're on their own, in their own home, they can manage with it fine. Sorry, my phone is, just check. That's not. Oh, okay. Could you hold the line 1 second? I'm going to just try and get my children to deal with the bit. 1 second.
The Baruch Hashem, we have all got these, they're beautiful problems to have. This is when we focus of ignoring being overwhelmed and jealous of everyone sleeping.
Oh. Sorry.
I think I should quickly go turn off the dough, right?
Sorry. Sorry.
Well, I have to tell you, can I just say that you did that beautifully?
What did I do beautifully?
You just said, okay, I'm going to deal with the children. So no overwhelmed, no nothing. And there we go. And that's what we got to do. So well done. Thank you.
I did go out of my bedroom. Go outside.
That's okay.
Can somebody please answer the phone? Just because Pasco's arriving and no one else is dealing with it. So exactly. Life is about plan B. Anyway, it was really funny. Somebody said to me, a friend of mine said to me, they were very well behaved when some children were being irritable. And it's much easier to do it when other people are watching. So of course I'm smiling sweetly. I might not have been smiling sweetly if I wasn't on screen. So we are all human and we all have emotions. So the first thing, that's what I'm trying to say, is accepting the emotions. So when emotions come up and we're on, it's a heightened emotional time. A Yom Tov is a heightened emotional time, and we're feeling certain feelings. And maybe many of you don't have any of these feelings, or maybe I'm just being, I sometimes feel overwhelmed. Like I've just busy cleaned up breakfast, and then there's still lunch, and nobody else cleaned up breakfast, and then I'm back to like going around cooking, etc. So having the thought of actually accepting the emotion that I have is very, very helpful in order to be able to move on, rather than I shouldn't be feeling like this and I should just move on. And there's a beautiful message I heard from Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg when he's talking about Shemitah. So Shemitah is once every 7 years, we have to leave the land for a whole year. And actually, we just had it the last year. And these farmers, I think they are the most incredible people ever. And they're alive today, now, and they're still living with the year after when they hadn't planted crops. So they have to try and work out how to live. It's incredible. Like, we can talk about faith, but they're literally living their faith. So in the Torah, when it gives this idea that Hashem says we should leave the land on the 7th year, the Torah says, and when you will ask, what will I eat in years 7, 8, and 9 if I'm not allowed to plow the land, etc. And then the Torah gives a blessing that there will be enough food to last for 3 years. And Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg explained that it doesn't say if you ask the question, it says when you ask the question. Because the Torah realizes Hashem made us, and Hashem knows we are human. We have emotions. It is normal to ask the question. It is normal to feel the way that we might be feeling. The question is, what do we do with that emotion? But the first way to react to the emotion is not that I shouldn't be thinking like this. It's I am worried. I am nervous. I've got lots to do. How am I going to manage? Why am I feeling sad? Why is this bothering me? Why am I upset about this other person? Why do I feel jealousy towards my sister, towards my brother, towards my uncle, towards my friends? Why am I feeling jealousy towards that person in the hotel? I don't want to feel like that. But actually, if you can recognize it's normal to have those feelings, and now what do I do with them? What am I going to do? Now I'm going to take that and I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say, Hashem, please help me out. I need to like express them. I need to deal with this emotion, rather than I shouldn't be thinking like this and I should just be great and fine and managed. So we'll move on as to how exactly we accept our emotions. Okay. So this I learned from a book that I have over here. It's called Time to Think, and it's written by Nancy Klein. I don't know if she's Jewish or not Jewish. It's not a Jewish book, but it's a fascinating book that talks all about the thinking environment and how we don't think very much. But she talks a lot about listening. And nowadays we spend a lot of time talking and less time listening. It's very hard to have a conversation with somebody without them interrupting, telling you what they think. So when you start explaining, or when another person starts explaining what they're feeling, we cut in with, oh, you should do this, oh, you should do that, or I had that once and this, and we interrupt the flow and the thoughts. So one of the first things that we can do when we want to accept emotions, I was talking about accept emotions, we also need to accept the other person's emotion. So actually properly listening to another person is the greatest gift you can give to a person. And when we're in close quarters with a lot of different people that we're not used to being in such close quarters with, taking a little bit of time before we answer, before we speak, to actually stop and listen properly, not listening, waiting for that person to finish speaking so then we can say what we wanted to say in the first place, or not listening thinking, oh, I've got you and now I'm going to answer, just actually quietly focusing and listening. And once a person feels really heard, they don't often need the answer because they just feel heard, and the emotions at the moment, they can calm down. So we need to listen to ourselves. That was the first thing with acceptance. We also need to listen to the other people in our environment. So Yom Tov tends to be a busier time with more people, and the best way to help our emotions during this busy time is to really listen to another person and think about what they're trying to say. I like the mashal of the parable of a balloon. If you think about a balloon is absolutely full of air, and you try to blow any more air in, it doesn't work at all. You can't blow it out. It's just going to pop. But if you allow that balloon, you open up a little bit, and the balloon's air can come out. Once the person has said what they need to say, it's come out, then they're ready for some more air to come in. They're ready to hear what you have to say. So we can take the time to say what we have to say, but the first thing we need to do is really, truly listen to the other person. And that is one of the ways that we can understand another person and also give them the space to deal with how they're feeling. Any questions so far? I don't like talking all the time. Maybe somebody else talk for a little bit. No? No question? No, Joanne's telling me to carry on. I'm not used to talking this way because the classes I give in Shul are all interactive. So I just feel like I'm talking too much, but okay, I'll carry on then. Okay, so in the Haggadah, we read about the 4 sons. And if you look at the Haggadah, it talks about the 4 different types of sons. And actually, if you read it, each son asks the question in a different way. So they're asking similar questions, but they're asking in a different way. So coming back to what we just said about listening, when your child or when your friend or when somebody asks you a question, think about the words they're using and think about what they mean with their question. Think a little bit deeper than just answering the question. And that's what the Haggadah is teaching us. When you have 4 children ask the same question, but in different ways, then we are told to answer in different ways. So it's about looking a little bit further into the question. What does that child mean when they say, maybe there's something else going on there? What are they feeling? My friend, when she asked me that question, what was she feeling? What's going on in her life? Why is she asking that question? Maybe there's something that's troubling her. It's not about the words of the question. It's about understanding who that person is. And I read an article last week, I think it was last week, or maybe the week before, in Mishpacha from Sarah Hannah Radcliffe. And I thought it was a brilliant article. It was a little bit painful, but it was a brilliant article. And she talked about difficult people. And she talks about how to live with a difficult person and how to manage it. And she asked a few questions, probably about 15 questions. And she said that these are ways of trying to understand if actually you're a difficult person, because we often can see difficulties in other people. So we know what they're doing that's annoying us, but do we know whether we are the ones actually who are a little bit difficult to live with? And the honest truth is that if you read through those questions, most people will answer yes to some of them. It's not that they'll answer yes to all of them, but each one of us has something that's a bit difficult for another person to live with. So when we're looking at those 4 sons, and it says, the one who doesn't know how to ask, the one who's the rusher, who's fighting, each one of us have different times when I'm overwhelmed, I don't even know what to ask. I'll have another time when I'm just being defiant. I don't actually want to hear what you have to say because I'm really in a bad mood and don't talk to me. So, 1 minute. Yes? Good night, love you. I lost my train of thought. Yes, so I thought that's actually a really nice way of thinking. When somebody's annoying you, when you're spending more time with a person and you find that that person is annoying you, to stop and listen to what they're saying, and then actually think back to yourself and think, is that person being difficult, or is there something in me that's also a little bit difficult? Is there some inflexibility in me? Am I finding it difficult to spend time with another person? Am I irritated? Am I being stubborn about the things that I think are important? And once we're reflexive and we look back at ourselves, we might be a bit less annoyed with the other person, because yes, another person may have some difficulties, but maybe there's also something in us to work in. So when we look at those, when we're reading the story, or not the story, when we read about the four sons and we read the questions and the answers, we can look at ourselves and we can look at the people that we're interacting with. And it doesn't need to be a like bang myself on the head, I've done this wrong and I've done that wrong. It can just be, you know what, they're living with me and I'm not so easy to live with. So I'll be grateful that they're actually coping with me, so then I can also maybe cope with them. Because we all have our kind of idiosyncrasies that may annoy another person. Okay. So I read this in Rashi. I don't know if everyone can see it because it's a little bit, I've got the screen sharing there or whatever. It says give space. It talks about giving space. And if you look at the left-hand picture, you'll see a diagram with 3 sort of tubes all moving into each other. So it's one story after the next story after the next story. You've got different messages. So I don't know if any of you have got smartphones. You could do like this if you've got smartphones. Yeah. Okay, so we've got smartphones. So I don't know if you find it, but you just get message and then another message. So you read that message, then you read the next message, then you read the next message. We don't really spend time taking a break in between the messages to actually understand the message. If you look at the next picture, you'll see the messages have got a break in between. And in our life, we are actually very blessed to have a lot of information available at our fingertips. The internet, we've got Shirim, even Shirim, I listen, I see a message and that was so inspiring. And then there's another message, but how can I remember any of these messages? Because I just listened to all of them, and I actually listen to things on double speed or like 1.5 speed. So we're so busy, we've got things to do, places to see, trying to accomplish everything, but actually, are we able to assimilate the information? Are we able to take in that information? We need to have pauses. And I want to talk because I talk fast and I don't take breaks. So I'm going to give you a moment to pause and think. We've just had a conversation. We're almost at the end of the conversation. And I've been talking and there's a lot of information, but what little bit of that information do you feel is going to make a difference to your Pesach? And if there is a little something that touched you, let's take a moment to let it sink into our brains, sink into our hearts, because I feel like we're kind of watching this train of there's another idea, oh, somebody said this and somebody said this, and wow, isn't this amazing? You look on Instagram, it's like there's a great idea, there's another great idea, and there's so much being shared, but how much can we actually take in? And the marshal that I can't remember where I saw it was, if you imagine a water bottle, if you ever tried to fill a water bottle and you're in a hurry, so you turn on the tap and there's lots and lots of water coming in, and you put the water bottle underneath, but because the water bottle's got a narrow top, the water's just dripping off the sides because there's too much water coming. If you turn the tap on slower and you take breaks, the water can go inside and it doesn't flow over and it goes inside. So we need to do that as well sometimes when we're listening to things. We're listening to nice ideas, or we're learning something, or we're just scrolling through messages, to stop and take a moment and say, okay, how does that mean to me? How am I thinking about this? What's going to be different? What can I do differently? So I'm going to give you a moment to have that thought before we continue. And it's good practice for me to be quiet. It's actually really hard being quiet. It's awkward and it's hard, but it's something that we do need to learn how to do. I think also we don't like being quiet by ourselves. We like to listen to something, we like to be busy with something, but just sitting quietly. Hashem is with you always. And and if we just open ourselves up to have some of the messages sink in to us so that we can connect to Hashem better. Okay. So this is the last part, and this is I'm moving you around. I don't know if people can see it. Can you see, Joanne? Yeah. Okay. So it says, I gave you flowers, I made the Seder. Let's try and understand what that means. So if you imagine a relationship between two people, so you could say, I don't know, let's say a daughter and a mother, right? And the mother wants a relationship with a child, and the child has a list of things to do that they know their mother wants them to do. So they bought them some flowers, they made the beds, they took them out shopping, they did the stuff that they know was the right thing for the mother to do. But they don't have a relationship because the child is busy doing what they have to do because that's the right thing to do, but not actually talking to the mother, not spending quality time with the mother, just because she wants to cross it off. She wants to be a good child, wants to be a good daughter. She's really, really good, but she's not having a relationship, and she's not thinking, when can I sit with my mother? She's thinking, when can I do what my mother needs? And then I've done it. And then imagine the mother turns to the child and says, I just wanted to chat. I just wanted to have a relationship. I just want to know how you're doing. I just want to sit down with you. And the child says, but I gave you flowers. I gave you flowers. I made your supper. I did your shopping. I did everything. Wow, what are you complaining about? And the mother doesn't know what to say because you're right. You did everything. But more than doing what I've asked you to do, I want a relationship with you. And that is the way that Hashem is with us. And we are very, very blessed to have so many different opportunities in the year to connect with Hashem. There's Pesach, there's Sukkot, there's Shabbos, there's all the Yom Tov. There's so many Jewish things that give us opportunities to connect with Hashem. And sometimes we might be able to tick our things off. I did this, I prepared the Seder, I've got a Seder table here, I've bought this, I've bought that, I've cleaned the house, I've done the stuff. But where's the relationship? Where's the communication? Where's the love? Where's the, I can't wait to talk to Hashem. So we need to remember when we're making our preparations, not that we have to stop our preparations, but we do those preparations mindfully, that I'm doing this for you, Hashem, because I love you, Hashem, and because I know that you have given me everything and you love me and you've given this to me because it's great for me and because it's good for my soul. Ultimately, my goal is to connect to you. So we come back to right at the beginning when I was talking about what's our goal. Our goal is to have a beautiful Pesach. Our goal is to do that work. And actually, every single tiny bit of work we do is a mitzvah. If you think about it, if that child said to the mother, I bought you flowers because I love you. And I know you love yellow ones. And that's why I'm giving them to you. And I'm putting them in the vase. And I really want you to enjoy them because I love you. Then it's a completely different reality to, okay, I've done it. I bought the flowers. And sometimes I feel like Pesach is like that. Okay, I've got this whole big list. I've done my list. I've done what I'm supposed to do. Hashem, I did it. I made the Seder. I did everything you told me to do. My house didn't have chametz. I'm good. I'm fine. But Hashem wants us to do that, and it is a great, great mitzvah. But let's put those little pauses in of like, why am I doing this? Because Hashem told me to, and because it's good for me, and because I can relate to Him, and I can have a connection with Him. Ultimately, that is our goal. And if that is our goal, then even if we make a bit of a mistake over here, and we have to close off that cupboard, and our Seder delicious, crumble fell to pieces, and it didn't work, and it wasn't tasty, and that child was fighting with that one, and I don't know, my friend was just really annoying me. All those things can still happen. But Pesach was beautiful because I felt Hashem's presence. I felt a connection with Hashem as I was doing these things. And I knew that it wasn't that it had to be perfect and it had to be great. It just had to be that I was with Him. And the best way to be with Hashem is to be honest, is to be accepting, is to take each one of our emotions and say, I'm feeling this, Hashem, help me. Or listen to another person. How do you feel right now? I'm here with you. So a lot of food for thought. I hope that I can assimilate it. I feel like I've just given a share to myself, and maybe I'll be a better mommy. I said to somebody today, I said my goal for Pesach is that I should be nice, because it's hard when you've got a lot of things to do to remember to be nice. And that's really my goal. And my hope for all of you is that, please God, you should have a beautiful, spiritual, uplifting, connecting Pesach where you feel close to Hashem and you do his mitzvah, but out of love and warmth, and whatever emotion comes up during the Pesach, you accept it, you listen to other people, listen to yourself, and bring it to Hashem. Hashem, I'm feeling this way, please help me. And that is incredible mitzvah. So I wish you all a beautiful Pesach. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, thank you. I have to tell you, I do think that is really one of those things, because one of the things that we really need is always to feel actually free of that frustration of feeling frustrated or irritated or anything, when we want to do something that is actually good and positive. So it's sort of like, I guess at a certain level, we are looking to to do enough practice, right, to actually even breathe through it when you're feeling a way, that it's not that you actually become that, then that becomes our default, and when we look at some of the things that, I think back to a couple of things that have happened, and one of my major ones was Shabbos morning, my husband was away, and a pot of paint came after 2 children. I was painting, I left the paint upstairs, and 2 children were D, and then buh, 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 and then I was like, oh, I thought, like, if I'm not gone after this, I'm okay. I had 40 people coming for lunch, and Rabbi Gottlieb was speaking, and I'm like, 20 minutes to their arrival, the house was dead silence. It was like, and everybody just was, nobody knew what to do. And and you know what? How do you clean paint up Shabbos? So I was scooping up and using the nagelbus and throwing away. And I was just like, and I'm thinking, and the carpets, my husband is going to. And, it was one of these miracle things that there must have Shabbos, I had people helping me. And then suddenly I had this thing, oh my goodness, insurance.
Oh.
And you know what? We got new carpets in the entrance and the stairs going up.
Wow.
And it was an accident. And I said, but that Shabbos, and I said, that was actually the gift for just, whether I was calm or ready to scream inside, I just kept quiet. That was it. And you just like, because if you do let go, it's a lot worse than if you don't. So if you want to sort of like implode and then breathe it out, and I think that that's the thing, that if we can get to our candle lighting refreshed, and candle lighting that is like calm, even if the people around you pulling your skirt, crying, shouting, whatever, you just like, that's it. So I think there's a lot of food for thought, and I hope that the flowers will come. And you know how the flowers are really going to get there? By the ones that we like, buy them for ourselves in honor of Yom Tov. I sort of like, you give up on that, and you say, it's okay. I'm not doing it because anybody else is going to do it or do it for me. Just do it for yourself in honor of Yom Tov or Shabbos. And that way you get the ones you like, and you don't have to wait and see, am I going to get them? So I'm just going to show you these, because these are so beautiful, because last week we spoke a lot about the honor of Shabbos, because in Seed we actually had a Shabbos project. And we had people keeping Shabbat just Friday night and then the whole Shabbat. And I spoke a lot about the flowers because of the blossoming of the Kohanim on Shabbos in our Tehillim of Shabbos. And then a friend of mine walked in and she bought me these, how do you say it, Deborah? Ranunculus, is that how you say it? And absolutely stunningly beautiful. And they have stayed beautiful. And we'll just fill up a little bit more water again, and they're going to last till after Shabbos. So there you go. So we've got them already here. So thank you. I'm going to just make a bracha on our hafrasha. Had both my dough sitting here waiting, and the sourdough will go on soon. And let's go. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu, b'mitzvaysav v'tzivanu, להפיש חלה מן העיסה, הרי זו חלה. In the
Amen.
of the mitzvah of hafrashas challah, may all our tefillahs be answered, the tovah for the good, for the refers, for the Yeshuas, for the Aliyah and the Shamas. And may Hashem just see how desperate we are. And said Mashiach. Thank you all for being with us. May we be blessed with a beautiful Chodesh, a beautiful, beautiful month ahead. It should be filled with simchas, that we should have a beautiful Shabbos, that we should have our Shabbos tables ready for Shabbos, and in the morning wake up to an Erev Shabbos, that we should be ready and prepared to be able to light our candles well on time. And one more thing I want to tell you, last week, I had another gift. I thought that I had 5 minutes to candle lighting. 5 minutes. And I'm just about to go and light my candles. There's a knock at the door. My neighbor wants to know, could I do her a favor and please wash her baby's blanket? And I'm like, he's sicked up on it, and her machine's busy. And I'm thinking, sure, but actually, who's going to take it out of my washing machine? I'm about to light candles. And she said, why? I'm lighting in an hour. And I looked at my watch and I'd seen the wrong time. So there you go, a whole extra hour, and I could light my 10 minutes early. I could put on my Shabbos makeup, and it was like, whoa. Imagine if I was able to make the same mistake every week. So we will try and make that same mistake again tomorrow. So wishing you all a beautiful Shabbos. Neets, thank you for always being there to open up our screen, to record everything and to put it onto YouTube. And thank you, everybody. And thank you for being with us. And we look forward, please God, to next week. And next Thursday morning, once again, we will have Tehillim with Rebbetzin Silva, and Thursday night to be confirmed. But we're looking forward in Mirz Hashem and wishing everybody a beautiful Shabbos. Rebbetzin Liss, thank you so much. Really an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Good Shabbos. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Good Shabbos. Good night. Good Shabbos. Good
Thank you. Good night.